It's Monday, it's a new week, and this is today's tarot. We have some pretty powerful cards today, so it's quite likely that they will ripple into the rest of the week. Normally I pull 4 cards, today 5 came out, so interestingly enough, they're all major arcanas, which is speaking to the idea that we are in some real intense work this week in regard to how we're leveling up in ourselves. The minor arcana, which are the Ace to 10 cards and the court cards, they're more day-to-day matters. Major arcana is like life work stuff that's like in your face. So let's go ahead and jump into today's tarot. The opening cards that we have for today, as I said, are the Hermit and the Hanged Man. So the Hermit is this energy of mutable earth, and it asks us to look at how we are looking at our mind and to have a little bit of observation of it. So the Hermit goes inward. They're kind of in this place of isolation in a lot of ways, and they feel very separate from the world. And how their mind is looking at things can be overly critical at times because there isn't any other outside perspective from anyone else coming in. And so they've gone on top of the mountain to do a lot of deep reflection. And in that reflection, they can see where the mind takes them and where they also may possibly need some healing based on what drove them up the mountain. Now we have that paired with a hangman, which is an energy of yielding to a situation. So we see that this person is bound to this tree and they're being held upside down. And many people want to flip this card up the other way, but this is telling us that we need to yield to our circumstance. We need to let it percolate and land on us. And consider that this is a mother card of water energy and of the emotional energy. So whatever you are likely certain about in your mind, it's getting the solvent brought to it of an emotional quality. So if we consider, like, for instance, some situation in life that we're certain about, but we've never actually experienced, like this should happen, or this should happen, or, this is the way that this should be. But then all of a sudden we're in that situation and we get a new perspective on it based on being in that situation. That's kind of the energy of this card today, or this combination of cards as our opening position today. We're having some kind of emotional aha or witnessing that's in some ways dissolving our certainty and dissolving the ways that we've been seeing things. The challenge that we have for today is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is all about social order, and it also brings up our belief systems. And so we could actually have some beliefs that we've felt were really stable in our lives be challenged today by the circumstances that we're in. And it's interesting because the Hierophant is governed by Taurus, and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus and has been for a number of years and will be for a few more years. And it's been creating this change and upheaval in our belief systems and calling us to look at them and see if they actually are worth their weight, right? Because our beliefs are associated with pentacles, which is something that we value. And so this brings that up, like what in our environment is challenging us today. And also it brings up our own sense of inner truth and where we are in that, and if that's actually solid. Now, it's so interesting because, as I said, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, and historically, when we look back at any big shifts that have happened worldwide or globally, it's always when Uranus is in Taurus and when it's in some relationship with Pluto, whether it be a square which is a 90-degree angle, or an opposition, which is a 180-degree angle, or a trine, which is a 120-degree angle. And these energetics actually, as strange as it may sound, they affect our entire globe. And when we look historically at society and how it's been affected by these astrological influences, we can start to gather some information in regard to where things are going right now, because we're all looking for some sense of stability within all of this change. Now, oddly enough, the way that we're going to get through this challenge is the Death card. Now, the Death card is associated with Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. And we, in a couple of years, will see a trine happen with Uranus and Pluto, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Right now, it's kind of around the mid-degree, or, around, I want to say 12, 13 degrees. And Pluto's at 26 degrees. Pluto moves really slow. Uranus moves pretty slow too. It takes 88 years to go around the whole astrological system. So when they finally link up, because they're both in earth signs, we will have a trine, which is a 120-degree angle, which is historically when big shifts in society have started to settle down and new order has been brought out of the chaos. So we have that to look forward to a couple of years down the road. And it's bringing up this idea. Also, consider that the North Node just went into Taurus and the South Node just went into Scorpio. And so the North Node is where we need to set our aim in life and what we're really moving toward in this life in order to become. And the South Node is where we came from. It's also what we need to release and let go of. And Scorpio is the sign of transformation. So, it's kind of like if you're in a hot air balloon, like you have to drop some weight in order to ascend up into the air. And so what do you need to drop away? And this is bringing up some of our belief systems that likely have not been serving us very much in our path of life, and what we need to let go of, and what we need to release, and what has to die. What old self of us has to die for us to be reborn. Kind of like, the childhood fades away for, adulthood to come in. Not that the child actually physically has to die. Like, I hope you understand that this is just a symbol. And consider that in the time of Scorpio, in the time of the year, at least in the northern hemisphere, that's when trees are letting go of their leaves and they're pulling themselves inward, and they look as if they're dying, but they're really preparing for rebirth into the next year. So we're a lot like that. What beliefs do you need to let go of so that you can actually put your attention towards something that's actually serving you in this life? Because this is telling us that some of our belief systems aren't. The ultimate outcome that we have for today is the Lover's card. So this card is governed by Gemini. Gemini is how we see things, how we communicate about things, and how we exchange with people. And we see these two individuals, male and female, in this card that are in this embrace, and this angelic figure that is above them, sending down their energies into them, right? And so it's really calling us to task, in regard to how we show up in a situation and whether or not we're actually being true to ourselves. In the last couple of years, I think we've all witnessed this tear in society that's been provoked by what has been stated as something that would bring order to the world, and it really just ripped us all apart. And it's bringing this up, what do we see as sacred, and what do we see as, the word profane is kind of it has some interesting connotations to it, but what is our, who are we? And are we just whatever somebody else tells us we need to be? Or do we have this own sense of what is sacred to us? And what is just a game for people? And how do you want to engage in that? How do you want to show up? How are you true to yourself in this place that we're all existing in? Because ultimately it comes down to that, what's your ticket to? What train do you want to get on? And if you find that you're on the wrong train, can you jump off that train and get on another train? Because if you see that the train that you're on is just taking you into the land of woes, then it's time to jump on a different train of thought, if you get my drift. Because we do have a choice. And a lot of that comes to something that may seem so simple, but it really is pivotal in our experience. And that's how we speak about things and how we engage with one another, how we exchange. And it comes down to language and what we infuse in that language. Do we speak in such a way that we call out possibility? Or do we speak in such a way that we speak with certainty? And how does that shut down or open up your experience? We're doing some work this week. I send you a good wish and a lot of love, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.